Hello, my name's Tony Cardenas, and this is the Indy Real Estate Market Weekly Podcast. We got a couple guests on the show today. I got Nick Rogers that owns the RE/MAX up here in Anderson, Indiana, and one of his real estate agents, Marty Dolworth, that's with RE/MAX up here in Anderson, Indiana. And we're going to talk about the Anderson-Pendleton market, but we're also going to talk about real estate safety. And Marty is a retired police officer, and we got a lot of things to share with you on that. And, of course, we got Shelley Walters on the show and Kyle Morris on the show with FC Tucker. Greg Cooper couldn't make it today, and Justin Griffith with Keller Williams is out. So, Marty, Nick, thank you for coming on the show. We certainly do appreciate it. And we got a lot to talk about. Shelley, I'm glad that you invited them in on the show. So let's kick it off and let's talk about a little security for the agents out here. Okay? I mean, you know, it's a weird world. You're out here selling homes. You're out here showing homes. But, you know, sometimes people don't talk about or think about the safety aspect. And let's kick it off, Shelley.
Thanks, Marty and Nick. It was really great for you guys to come in. And Marty, I just think that it would be so much information that you have for us. And I know you guys have done some programs in the past. So, Marty, if you want to just kind of kick it off with your expertise and information you have for us.
Yeah. Sure. This started off several years ago. I'm a former retired police officer from the area, and I taught defensive tactics. And Nick, who I had known for several years, reached out and said, hey, I want to introduce some type of safety training for my agents. They're going out doing late showings, both male and female. It doesn't matter. Everybody can be in danger. So we came up with a plan, and he offered it to all agencies, not just his own, put it out there, and we were kind of wondering how it would take off, and we filled the first class that we had done. And I think we blocked it off for about 4 hours, and we actually did hands-on.
Yeah.
I spent about 30 minutes just kind of discussing things that they can pay attention to prior to even pulling up to the listing.
Yeah, learning little triggers, talking to somebody on the phone, out of the house, somebody doing something that's just not like normal.
Absolutely. And the biggest thing is go with your gut. If something doesn't feel right, go with it. Don't ignore it. Don't push all your safety due to make a sale. I mean,
right.
You know, you have to make sure that you're safe because you can't make a sale if you're not.
Right.
And believe it or not, there are people out there that prey on real estate agents.
Sure.
They know they're showing up to houses. They know that they probably have their purse, their laptop, their wallet, their keys, their car's parked in the driveway. And it's a quick, easy hit for someone who wants to head off and do that type of crime.
And when you were a police officer, did you get these type of calls over the last 20 years?
We've had I can't tell you the number of calls I've taken where you're like, oh my gosh, they became a victim. What would make somebody think to target them?
Right.
You sit back and think about it. Agents work crazy hours. They're going to homes. Some of them are vacant or empty. Some are not in the best of area, but it doesn't matter the area. If people are really wanting to do their homework, and it's a quick hit. Purses, wallets, cars, gone.
Yeah. Well, Nick, what made you one day call him up and say, you know what? We got to do something for my agents, my friends, and my colleagues. What hit that?
You know, so I was newer to the business back in, we're going back to 09 or 14, I'm sorry, but we had a lot more vacancies in town that we were showing. Bank owns were a lot more available. So it was nice to introduce that to the agents to protect them. At that time, I forget the case, but there was some national news going on regarding a real estate agent.
You know, I remember some of it back in 08, 09,
we
10,
tend
11.
to forget about it until it happens in our own backyard. And so we're just trying to stay ahead of the plane. And what we learned is it was great team building experience. Bringing the agents together with a hands-on class or whatnot.
Right.
Because people don't talk about it, right? Like, because there's been an incident in Indiana. Up north.
We had one here in Carmel, right?
Yeah.
Years ago.
Mm-hmm. There's one up in South Bend. And then, we were talking about before the show, there was a really tragic accident out in the southwest of the United States. That was a little bit longer ago, but it happens. And then to your point, like, it's just kind of out of sight, out of mind. And, like, you get back into your daily routine and you just take things for granted.
Mm-hmm. Right. They see our faces on signs and they just assume, you know.
Well, you know, there's a lot of crazy people out here. and you get a man that's I would have to assume that they're targeting more women than men. That's just me. Now, what do you say about that?
I don't have stats to prove it, but I would have to say yes.
Right. So, you know, women, even in car sales, women have been attacked, okay, cars stolen, but actually attacked because of getting in the car the old days, taking a demo ride with somebody, you know, afternoon or late hours, and the next thing you know, you have an incident, okay? So when you guys offer this program with your agents, and I'm sure you get some other agents from agencies to come in, okay, it's a you probably didn't want this angle in the beginning, but it is a great way to make acquaintances, build team building, and of course, recruiting. You know, you've probably got recruited some people just in the last few years over this little offer that you have. Are you the only agency up in Anderson, Pendleton that offers to do this? It seems like, wow.
I think it just shows that you're vested in a person more than just a business, if that makes sense. As an agent myself.
You know, one thing I like to try to tell the agents is we lead by example in the area, right?
Right.
If we're nice to the agent on their side, they'll be, you know, don't be mean just because they're mean. I tell Marty all the time, you know, come up with your own perception of everyone. Don't listen to everyone else's opinion about them.
Right. Get your own.
Right.
Right. So, Marty, you are new in the business. Okay. You've been a realtor for how long?
January 2nd, 2023.
How many homes have you sold in Anderson and closed first?
I have sold and closed 2 so far.
Okay. And how many do you have pending?
6 right now actively pending.
That's great.
2 more getting ready to go on the market.
Which, for the record, for anybody who's listening, like that as a total is more than 80% of agents do in a year.
Right. Well, that's great. And you know, you got a niche market up there. You got Anderson. You got Pendleton. You know, to come out of the chute like that, you must be. You're not sitting around. You know?
It's nonstop. Last week I pended 6 in 7 days.
Well, that's good. And Nick, you have 30 agents up there in your area.
Yes.
Okay. And you said, like, how many homes did you close last month?
Last month, not quite sure. Last year we did almost 750 units.
That's a hell of a year.
That's a big number.
When we go to our conferences, so our average sales price, even compared to Carmel, is a little bit lower. So
Of course.
we like to talk in units, right?
Right. I mean, I understand. Right. You know, if you had to say what the average price was for we won't go to Pendleton right now, but Anderson, what is the average price of a home?
You know, I think it's coming down a little, obviously, but I was shocked to see numbers in the 180s for some of my agents here recently.
In Pendleton, you're tapping on the door of a little bit higher.
Right.
I mean, you're going to be tapping 180 to 225.
Really, my gut says Anderson's more around that 140 mark.
Sure.
Is where it should be.
Well, that's
and,
great.
And growing.
Right.
I'm a believer in Anderson big time.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, you know,
I'm
we
just
have,
curious if you, so like to have all this early success, you're like, is he out there like beating the streets and stuff? I'm like, do you have a light on your car and you still pull people over? And then you're like, if they like, how can I help you? And you're like, can I help you with your real estate needs today?
Okay, Shelley. Let's talk here a little bit. What do we got?
All right, so I just want to go back to what we were here to talk to these guys about. I have some questions. I do know you have potentially something coming up. We want to talk about that later, Nick, and that you'll do your program again, which we'd like to have anybody who would be interested in that reach out to you.
Yeah,
But,
we can put that on the next podcast, his dates, just to remind some. Yeah.
Marty, just wanted to see, so I know you were talking about, what are some things that you think people should like get a red flag about? What would be some of those?
Here's just like the talking portion of the safety class. You have to understand, goes back to gut feeling. If you're on the phone with someone, you've never met them, they reach out to you. Big thing is let's try to get them pre-approved. That way we get their name and we've had more contact with them.
Right.
But don't hesitate to reach out to another agent in your office and say, look, I don't feel right about this. This showing doesn't seem right. Something's wrong with it. And get them to go. But make sure that when you do that, you're not staging them in the house with you.
Right. Maybe they're outside. Maybe they're following you because you guys are going to go to another house showing after this or another listing.
And I can't tell you how many interviews I've done in my law enforcement career where it came out that this person wasn't chosen as a victim because there was more than one.
There you go.
So that it just
Right,
the
but-
presence alone could detour someone from picking you to be a victim.
But here's the way I look at it today. To go show a house with somebody, okay, that's interested in buying a home, I personally wouldn't ever go take anybody to show a house if I didn't have a pre-approval on them. Or what do you
Well, that's a whole nother show.
Well,
But yeah,
well-
definitely, that's the first question.
Yeah, I
Are
mean, you got a
pre-approved?
pre-approval on them. You know who they are. A bank's pre-approved them. We know the identification of the person, not unless they're just giving you a fraudulent letter from a bank. I know that has happened. I see it on a lot of safety things that they've been pre-approved, and it's a made-up letter.
Just talking about doing your due diligence as an agent, one of the things it's called a Pop-Tart agent. So if you want to be a Pop-Tart agent, that means the phone rang, they want to see a house, you go, sure, I'll see you in 2 hours, and then you run to the house. You should never do that for many reasons, let alone safety. So one of the things I think too is I use a website, checkpeople.com, and look up their name, their phone number, get as much information as I can about them before I meet with them. Especially if I'm having some red flags. If I've gone through the process of the pre-approval, had a referral, I don't do that. But if it really gets down to the point where I'm trying to figure out, is this a person that I should go into a home, an empty home especially? There's a lot of them out there. I like checkpeople.com. So if anybody wants to look that up, it does cost you a monthly fee, but you can get a lot of information. And one of the things they have on there is their police record and stuff like that. There's also, what's the one here that everybody uses?
This is the one you're talking about. Is probably the best.
Right.
I mean, you don't
So
need to go
there's all kinds of places. You shouldn't just assume anything if you have some strange stuff. So do you have any thoughts on those?
Well, there's nothing wrong with doing your own investigation prior to, and I would recommend to do that. But things that you can do as an agent when you're pulling up, you've taken the show and you're going to make it happen. You're going to do it. There's nothing wrong with driving the block. Check the surroundings before you ever see if there's people sitting in their car outside the home. See if there is more than one person coming. Ask the question before you go to the showing. How many of you will be attending the showing tonight? If they tell you one and there's 3 people in the car, guess what? Probably wouldn't make that showing tonight. If you already had that feeling something wasn't right, go on by. Ask those simple little questions prior to ever showing up. But then do your drive-by. Check the area. See if there's anybody on the street, in the driveway, sitting in the car.
Right.
Feel it out first.
So when's the last time you guys had an issue? Was it in the last 60 days, last 90 days?
We haven't had an issue.
Good.
We've been proactive, I think, and
That's really, really
hopefully
good.
That's helped.
And I have agents all the time ask me, hey, what do you think about this? Well, why don't you try this? Always be
You go get some co-listing agreements with that kind of stuff, which is a nice thing.
It is. But the main thing I want to do is I want to pass my knowledge on, all my years of experience, all my training. And I want everyone to understand what we're going to teach or what I will teach in a 4 or 8 hour class isn't going to make you a UFC fighter.
Right. It's going to deactivate the situation before it ever starts.
I would rather talk for 5 than fight for 1 any day.
Yep.
However, there are some situations where you're going to have to be hands-on. And what I'm going to teach you is the availability to create space. Space is your friend. If you can create space, you can make it out that back door that you've already unlocked in the
exactly
house.
right.
You can make it out that front door. You get out into public where you can start yelling for help, that changes the ball game. I'm going to teach you different methods and techniques that will allow you to create some space. And here's the big thing. The rules in fighting, there are none.
Right.
You have to protect yourself.
No, that's true. That's true.
So talking about that when you're in the house, I've heard some really good tips. If you have some of those, one of them I always remember is never go down the basement stairs first. Go into the basement and get trapped down there in some way. What are some of the other things you can do while you're in the house?
Here's what I really want to emphasize. Don't be late. Be first. Get in, get the lights on. Get the doors unlocked. Know which ones. Even if you want to unlock a window, but with that being said, you have to remember and lock them all up before you leave. However, get in there, get the lights on, get doors unlocked. Pay attention and have 2 or 3 different outs in your mind. Because if you go into a home and don't know the layout and they corner you in the kitchen, you're not going to know whether to turn left or right to get to an exit. Have that all played out. Play it over in your head driving too. Once you get in there and start unlocking, because you're first, and get lights on, have an escape plan. You can do it 500 times and nothing ever happened. You can do it a whole career, nothing ever happened. But the moment you get laxed and don't have a plan, it's going to happen.
Right. There you go. Right. Great advice.
What are your thoughts on any type of holding weapons, keeping weapons on you, tasers, guns, anything like that?
I think that's a whole different podcast.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this. There are no rules when someone's trying to attack you. Anything can be used as a weapon, from your car keys to a flashlight.
Good.
Always be prepared, but always know what you have with you. Okay? I know some of you ladies carry suitcases for purses.
Right.
Let's try to thin that down for showings. Maybe not even have one at all. If you don't have eye candy, it might deter someone from doing something.
Right. That makes sense. Well, hey, this is a great show on safety, and we'll have you guys on again for the safety. But what I want to do is I want to roll over to the market stats this week, and let's start it off with Nick's area. Shelley and Nick, if you would start it off with the Pendleton area, Anderson area. Let's talk about their markets, and then we'll bring it down to us. Is that okay, Shelley?
Yeah, absolutely. So
So in Anderson, the last 7 days, we've had 24 new active listings, and we pinned 14 of those.
Wow.
It's kind of interesting to see the
Sure.
tide change a little.
It is
always been
changing.
the opposite, like, wow. And then the agents are feeling that as well.
Right.
We've got agents that don't know how to sell in this market, right?
Right.
The house doesn't sell in 7 days. What do I do?
Right, and you got to
Clients
close.
are yelling at them, and they're
and the people want to sell. The people that you're selling their home, they want to close because they want to go buy a home. Right. And you got interest rates anywhere from 6.87. I'm going to say 6.750 to 7.25 to 7.5, to subject to their credit score. I mean, I know you guys been to some closings recently where you see a 7.5% rate. Mm-hmm. Saw two of them yesterday, and I actually see one coming Monday at 7.875, just because the loan to value and the interest rate and blah blah blah. But
our average days on market's 49.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
We had an agent.
the median.
Yeah, median 6 right there in the middle. We had an agent just last week kind of flipping out on me, kind of as the owner, going, help me with this house. Why isn't it selling it? Why isn't it selling? Can you do a price analysis, right? It's either price or condition.
So what'd you do?
Nothing. I went on vacation. Asked him why he hasn't been in the sales meeting lately, right?
There you go.
An option. But then came back from vacation, followed up with him, and I go, was it a days on market or a price issue? And it was just a days on market.
Right.
You just have to write it. He's not used to that, only being in the business 4 years.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
Days on market. I mean, days on market the last 24 months, 30 months was a whole different deal.
Right.
1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4 days on market. Those days, they're here. But what about your market going over on list price? What are you seeing up there?
Marty's a great example. He listed one this weekend. How many offers?
18
So that was good to see that again, maybe.
in 11 hours.
Fortville.
Yeah.
There he is.
What was the price point?
199.9,
There you go. What'd it go for? How much over?
230.
There you go. Well, that's the market right now. I mean, we got short inventory. You got short inventory. You're going to have prices climb, and there's just nothing you can do about it. And Shelley and I have been through it, and Greg Cooper and I have been through it, and Kyle's been through it. And I said, Shelley, I just don't think it's going to angle this way, because I was reading a lot of news, and Shelley's right on market. You were right. We were going to get into these price wars. Go ahead. Let's go to Pendleton.
So Pendleton in the last 7 days, 18 actives.
Okay.
And then only ones went pending.
That'll change this week.
That'll change, yeah.
Well, we also got to remember, this is a weird 3 or 4 weeks here in our metro area.
What's their spring break?
Well, that's what I'm saying, the
That's
spring
last
break.
week where we were. Yep.
Yeah, so that's what you're dealing with right now, but you'll get multiple offers next week and the week afterwards. Okay, so what else we got on Pendleton? Anything else?
We were talking about the average days on market 75, and I think that's probably a little high due to all the new builds listed in the area.
Sure. You got builders out there putting sticks out there, and,
Right,
and there's
yeah.
no sticks. They listed it with the lot saying house coming soon with the picture, and that's going to take
drawing.
8 months to 12 months. Shelley tells me, and so that's going to change a little bit. All right, well, good. We got a little information on Anderson and Pendleton. Shelley, let's move it over to Carmel.
Okay, in Carmel, we had 37 hit the market, 26 of those pended, and we were talking just a little bit about spring break.
Yep.
So we're going to have a spring break issue for a couple of weeks here, because as the different cities start their spring break, so days on market probably going to tick up. Currently totally active right now, 64 in Carmel. That is so down.
Oh boy, only 64 homes in Carmel.
And that is 35 are resale. That is really low for Carmel right now. So hopefully we're going to see some houses start to hit the market after spring break.
Where you're going to
is
see a
over.
lot of overlist.
Yeah.
I'm more surprised there's 32 new constructions in Carmel, actually.
There's 29 new
29,
build
20.
currently. 35 are the resales of the current active. So in the past 7 days, the average days on market was 24. Median was 4. So in the past 30 days, 97 houses have sold. 22 of those were new builds. The average days on market was 41, and median was 11. So average has been cut in half, and median's gone down by 7 days. So still speeding up in Carmel.
Okay.
In Westfield, 33 hit the market. 15 of those pended. 2 were new builds, so not very many new builds sold there. As we know, they're very heavy on new builds. Average days on market was 25 in the past 7 days. Median was 3. So currently active in Westfield, 145, 88 are new builds, anywhere from 300 to 3.2 million. So we only have 57 resales in Westfield right now available. In the past 30 days, 131 homes sold, 68 were new builds, anywhere from $65,000 to 1.5 million. And the average days on market was 43 and median was 9.
What was 65,000?
One of the houses that sold in Westfield. I looked it up. It was definitely a house.
Big bad wolf could blow that one down. Okay.
So the average days on market in the past 30 days was 43. Median was 9. So it went down from 9 to 3 in the past 7 days. So speeding up as well in Westfield. Zionsville, 17 houses hit the market, 13 pended. That was a lot to hit in Zionsville for the first time. That's
Right, but how many we have total in Zionsville?
Currently 30, 9 are new builds, so we have 21 resales in Zionsville. So all these 3 towns are very low inventory. As we keep saying, solds in the past 30 days, 33. And average days on market in the past 30 days was 19, median was 7. And that's about the same as it is for the past 7 days as well. So they're kind of even Steven right now.
Okay, thank you, Shelley. Let's move over to Kyle Morse, FC Tucker. Give me the update on Fishers.
So I wasn't here last week, so I wish
We
I
didn't
would've
care. We didn't need you anyway.
I know.
No, all right.
That hurts my feelings, actually.
You're in Florida. Go
So
ahead.
I was curious to see like how much of a change it would be, right? Just because like when we're in it every single week, it's kind of hard to quantify a little bit. But so Fishers had 22 go on the market, anywhere from 240 to 900,000. 16 of those are still active. 16 pended. 30 total actually pended last week, but 76 are active on the market. So we did pick up a very minimal inventory, right? Since I was when I was here 2 weeks ago, it was 67.
How many sold last week?
You mean pended?
Pended, excuse me.
30 total.
Okay. We're getting some activity out there.
But to the point, like what you're talking about with Anderson and Pendleton, and you know, like those numbers are high. I mean, you got to think we were looking at numbers of 40, right? And so like your numbers are going to come down just the way ours did, as it, you know, it just takes a little bit longer,
Right.
I mean, our average days on market in Fishers is down to 20 all of a sudden, right? And when we go over Noblesville, it's even more significant because we're getting rid of the stagnant properties that are really taking it off. So that's why we talk about the median. And one of the medians you talked about was like 6. Like that's the more concerning number than it is about the 50, right? Because you've got these outliers that are really like adding to your days on market.
Okay.
Noblesville, we had 19 go on the market, anywhere from 232 to 1.1 million. 12 of them are still active, only 9 pended. But 21 actually pended last week. So we have a negative net inventory in Noblesville.
Yeah.
And that really shows. So we have 72 active on the market, average days on market in Noblesville, which was the highest of the ones that I was generally doing. I mean, we were up to 40, I think, like 4 or 5 weeks ago on Noblesville, 13 days on market.
Okay.
For Noblesville. It pivoted that hard that quickly. So, but I do know there's spring breaks in particular. Fisher and Nobles is getting ready to come up, so it'll go back up. But there's just no way we have such a serious inventory problem. This is where it's going to ramp up. And so we were talking, wanted to talk about like some new construction before we started, because I know there's a neighborhood that I talked to a builder about. I mean, there's 600 homes. There's one on the southwest town side of Indy, 2,000 home neighborhood that is being built. And they are sitting there because, remember last year we were talking about how new construction was buying buckets of loans. They're out there offering 4.9, 5.5, 5.85 interest rates on these homes because they bought them all a year ago.
Yeah, but here's what people don't understand about that. What they're doing is they're buying down the rate from the overpriced house. Hold on for a minute. Don't do this to me.
I'm going to.
Okay. Then how do you buy where's the money come from buying the rate down?
They didn't buy the rate down. They bought buckets of loans a year ago.
You can't do that.
They did. They bought all the money, and then they're using that money to finance.
Okay. Well, anyway, what's the rates that they're offering on these houses down there?
It was 4.99. Right now, it's 5.55 and 5.85.
Okay. Well, that money's coming from somewhere, and it's always coming from part of the development of the real estate.
We'll get them on. We can get them on here. Yeah.
Right, and the other thing, working with a buyer right now doing a new build as well, and I saw lots of builders this past weekend and as well again today, and they are doing the incentives of 5.5 to 5.75%. Some of them are not.
Some of them aren't. Yeah,
Some of them are offering concession. You can use that money towards whatever, but that is one of the things about using or getting a new build. But I will tell you, if you're thinking that a new build's an easy thing to do in today's market, they are selling like hotcakes, and so you can't just assume that those houses will be available either, because everybody's turning to new builds, one, for their interest rate help, and
Right.
two, because the house is not competitive. You are not going to have those high prices jumping for escalation.
Right, but people got to hire a realtor when they do these new builds so they can walk them through the process. It doesn't cost the buyer anything to have the realtor walk through the process, go through each stage of the house, and get a little advice on it, because it's if you don't know how to build a house or you've not been through it, it's not the easiest thing you've ever done in your
There's
life.
going to be mistakes. There's going to be
That's right.
delays.
And the realtor can negotiate a little bit more incentives for you, which people don't understand, but they do. I mean, I've seen realtors negotiate another $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 with upgrades and stuff like that, because these builders today are flexible. They have to turn their inventory, and they got to close the houses. You agree with that, Shelley and Nick?
Yeah, I got a question on your guys' new construction. What about the inspection process? Are you seeing inspection issues?
Oh yeah, we still. I mean, I usually do minimum 2. But I will say, so even though there's inspection issues, I've never had a builder kick back hard. Like they're usually like, "Sweet, thank you, we'll knock it out and we handle it."
Right.
So my question is, would those have been uncovered without a realtor
As
in their back pocket?
So
right?
I
You know?
built 8-9 years ago, and before I was in the industry, and we had an agent who helped us with it. Didn't help, nothing against that agent or whatever. Didn't help us with really the new construction or whatever. We had no inspections along the way, none of it. So I don't think it's just any agent. I think it's an agent who has had experience with new construction to make sure, you got to get inspections even on a new construction.
My first house I bought, not in real estate, no agent involved, and I did my walkthrough looking for nail pops. That's all I knew to look for.
Yeah, that's what most
Get a
people-
realtor.
Some people don't know how to do that.
And one of the things about that, when you do the first stage, like you said, 1 or 2 or 3, usually 3 inspections, is the first one is before the walls are covered. So you see everything on the inside. And I don't know how many times we've done that first stage inspection, and pipes are not connected, or pipes are in the wrong place,
I've seen it.
incorrect or whatever, and that's going to get covered up, and you'll never see that until the first thaw or whatever. Something's going to happen in the back of those walls. So first stage, extremely important.
Yeah, so I think the minimum I require, it would be like pre-drywall and pre-closing, right? But I've also seen a lot of agents, I think it's a really good idea, and we've started to do it. It's foundation, then pre-drywall, then pre-closing. It's not going to. It's the only time you're going to be able to do that stuff and actually have some leverage to get it corrected.
And I know we also do, now we started talking about doing that 11-month inspection. So just having the inspection at 11 months, and they're offering that
Post-closing.
package.
Post-closing.
Yeah,
right?
so at 11 months, right before that new build warranty is going to go out.
Yep.
Okay, everybody. Hey, the rate's right around 6.750%. That would be 20%. 80% loan to value, good credit score of about 760. And you have 15-year rates that are, let me just tell you what the 15 is today. Not that anybody's buying them. But you got your 15-year rate that's right around, you might be able to get something if you're going to a broker and a broker can discount, you might get right in the very, very, very low 6s on that. You might even tap on the door at 5.999%. Some of the arms that are getting aggressive in the market, I did see some arms yesterday in the market that I could not believe. I'm going to do a retake on those today, and I am going to put them on a show that I'm going to do this Thursday for Avon, Plainfield, and Brownsburg. I'm just going to give quick stats for that area, and then I'm going to announce the rates on the 30-year fixed, 15, the 7, and the 10-1 arm. I might even throw a 3-1 arm on there. But, hey, everybody, if someone wanted to get a hold of you, Marty, up in your area, what's the best phone number?
The 765-639-8104.
Okay. And Nick, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you or an agent wanted to come talk to you about maybe coming to work for RE/MAX or doing a deal with you, how can the public get a hold of you, please?
Nick at 877callnick.com.
Oh, that's good.
Whoa.
Shelly, he got you on that one. Okay, Shelly, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, and what company are you with, Shelly?
Shelley Walters Realty Group with FC Tucker. You can reach me on my cell phone, 317-201-2601.
And Big Daddy, Kyle Morris, how can somebody get a hold of you if they want to buy a home? Hey, you can't sell any homes in Fishers this week. Fishers is her territory.
This week?
Yep, this week.
All right,
Anyway,
I get Carmel then.
all right, there you go.
All right, Trey.
If somebody wanted to get a hold of you, how could they do it, Kyle?
It's Morris Property Group with FC Tucker. It's 317-649-5122.
And one thing I wanted to say, I wanted to give a shout out to FC Tucker here in Carmel for helping us and letting us use their conference room for the studio and all of the things that they give us. And then we're going to talk at you next week. And Shelly, have a couple surprises for you next week. You can't talk about them right now, Shelly. We'll talk them about next week, okay? Everybody, thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.